Welcome to Healer Within podcast series. There are many pathways to healing that fall outside the realm of Western medicine and traditional approaches. The purpose of this podcast series is to educate and inspire the community to explore the multitude of lesser utilized pathways to healing the mind, body, and soul. Hypnosis, yoga, meditation, energy healing, sound healing, and yes, even art, music, and dance. For these self-empowering, soul-driven, and vibration-raising modalities exponentially promote and unleash the healer within. Through this series, I hope you will begin to reclaim your power and discover your own unique formula for healing by engaging and aligning the soul, the mind, and the body with the frequency of the higher self. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your healing journey. Welcome back to Healer Within. This is Amy Marohn, spiritual hypnotist, metaphysician, and host. Today, we're going to explore a topic that is both mystical and incredibly practical: soul fragmentation. We will look at what happens when you ask the universe to clear out lower frequencies from your life and how that sometimes lifts the veil on relationships you thought were completely secure. Maybe you have a friendship, a family dynamic, or professional relationship where the energetic math simply doesn't add up. On the surface, they seem supportive, perhaps in words or even random deeds. They may even love bomb you, which makes it very difficult to trust your higher wisdom or instincts. However, if you are perfectly honest with yourself, the relationship lacks depth and consistency, and that they are completely missing in action when you are moving through a difficult transition. In contrast, they use their own life chaos to tug at your sympathetic heart while wearing a second skin in social circles you are carefully and deliberately locked out of. For years, you blame your own unhealed trauma on this relationship conundrum, believing you are simply too sensitive or drawing erroneous conclusions. But today, my friends, we are exposing the truth. What you are experiencing isn't a figment of your imagination. You have encountered an asymmetric, parasitic dynamic driven by a phenomenon known as soul fragmentation. From a behavioral lens, we might look at this and diagnose narcissistic traits, emotional manipulation, or severe defense mechanism. But let's look at the spiritual blueprint. The human soul is meant to operate as a unified, radiant field of energy, the very operating system of our consciousness. But when a person experiences intense unhealed trauma, severe shock, or lives in a prolonged state of fear, the psyche splits as a survival mechanism. Pieces of their vital life force and authentic consciousness literally break away or become walled off to survive the pain. The person left behind is operating on a fractured operating system or fragmented soul. Because a fractured soul cannot generate its own high vibrational light, it operates from a place of absolute scarcity. It becomes an energetic vacuum. To regulate its own internal chaos, it must feed on the stable, vibrant energy of people like you. This is why they want the perks of your friendship and spiritual presence, because they can never reciprocate. They keep you in a silo because they recognize your light and are terrified your presence will upstage them. They are cloaked in a shiny veneer, but underneath they are broken and splintered. And if you aren't careful, their hidden wounds will slowly, inadvertently drain your spirit. Now, it's crucial to understand that soul fragmentation exists on a broad spectrum. It is not an all or nothing state. When you look at the lower frequency people in your life, they fall somewhere along this continuum of fracture, and understanding where they land determines exactly how much danger your energy is in. Let's break down the three primary zones of the fragmentation spectrum. On the mildest end of the spectrum, we see people who are completely fractured, but they are living behind massive ego-driven defense mechanisms. Because of childhood wounding or past betrayal, they have put up thick psychic walls. They want connection, but they freeze or flee when things get too intimate. They are capable of basic reciprocity, but they are incredibly stingy with their vulnerability. They hide things and avoid deep commitments because their ego is terrified of being rejected. If this person falls in the middle of the spectrum, this is where relationships become truly toxic and injurious to your energy. Here, a person has experienced significant trauma and has actively disassociated or cloaked vital pieces of their authentic self. They operate with a chronic internal deficit of life force. Because they cannot generate their own energy, they become what I refer to as a covert parasite. This is the friend who uses the sympathy hooks, broadcasting constant manufactured crisis to anchor your focus onto them. They love bomb you with empty words to keep you attached, but they silo you away from their life because your life threatens their fragile sense of control. They are functional on the surface, but entirely empty and consumed behind closed doors. On the most severe end of the spectrum, the soul fragmentation is so profound that the individual's psyche has completely fractured into distinct, compartmentalized realities. Clinically, this is where we cross into severe personality disorders. How it looks is a total lack of object constancy. They can claim you are their soulmate one day and treat you like a complete stranger the next, with zero internal conflict. Their reality completely shifts based on whatever emotion is protecting their ego in the present moment. They rewrite history, engage in aggressive gaslighting, and are entirely incapable of empathy because the part of the soul that holds a conscience and connection to the collective is completely walled off. When we realize someone we love is suffering from soul fragmentation, the natural instinct of an empath or a healer is to try and fix it. But we must understand how true healing occurs and why you cannot give your own life force away to mend someone else's fractures. In the metaphysical world, we have powerful modalities to address this loss of life force, but their mechanics are worlds apart. Let's look at Shamanic Soul Retrieval versus Spiritual Hypnotic Soul Recovery. Historically and traditionally, retrieval is the domain of the shaman. In this context, when a soul fragment leaves due to trauma, It escapes into non-ordinary reality, hiding in the spiritual landscape of the lower, middle, or upper worlds, just to stay safe. The shaman acts as the active traveler, entering an altered state of consciousness, often through the assistance of a drumbeat. The shaman tracks the missing fragments across the spiritual realms, negotiates its return, and literally blows that vital energy back into the client's heart and crown chakras. It is an external intervention where the practitioner goes and gets what is lost. When we look at this through the lens of modern spiritual hypnotherapy and metaphysics, we approach it through soul recovery. Here, we don't treat the missing piece as if it's hiding in an external underworld. We recognize that all time, space, and dimensions exist within the client's current quantum field. Using deep trance states, we guide the individual to become their own investigator. We navigate the subconscious mind to locate the exact anchor point where the fragments split off, whether that's in early childhood or a past life narrative. In this space, the client's adult consciousness interacts directly with the fractured piece. They resolve the unhealed trauma, dissolve the ancient contracts of fear, and reintegrate the energy themselves. The vital distinction is this: shamanic retrieval brings the piece back to the person. Hypnotic soul recovery guides the person to evolve into the space where the piece can safely fit again. But here is the hard truth you must hear today. A person can only experience retrieval or recovery if they desire it for themselves. You cannot force a parasitic friend or a fractured family member into wholeness. If they are choosing to live in manipulation and smoke and mirrors, that is their current path. So, how do you protect your own energy when you realize you have allowed a mid to high range fractured soul into your immediate perimeter? Especially if you live in a small town, work in the same office, or share a social circle. Well, you might be relieved to hear you do not need to stage a massive high conflict confrontation. Confronting a fractured soul simply gives them a stage to play the victim, spin a narrative to their community, and use a more sympathetic hook to drag you back down. Instead, you practice what I refer to as a strategic low-frequency fade. First, become energetically unavailable. When the crisis texts come in seeking pity, do not match their depth. Treat them like a weather report. Respond with polite, low-energy neutrality, sending you good thoughts and much-needed rest. No follow-up questions, no offering of your spiritual ear or physical space. Secondly, establish digital boundaries. Use the hidden features of your technology. Mute their feeds, restrict their view of your life. Stop letting them peer into your life or evolution. Close that window. And third, the gray rock principle. If it's someone you see at a local grocery store or around town, remain warm but brief and unengaged. A quick smile, a wave, wonderful to see you. I'm on a tight schedule today, but take care. And then just keep moving. Give them zero emotional material to latch onto. Compassion does not require your compliance. Understanding that someone has a fractured soul does not mean you are required to be their resting place or emotional landfill. When you ask Spirit for higher frequency connections, get ready for the clearing. Reclaim your field, trust your instincts, and save your vital life force for the spaces and the people where reciprocity is real. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Keep your frequency high, your boundaries intact, and lean into the things that create positivity and wholeness. I'll see you in the next episode.